In other news, in July of this year, new independent research was released demonstrating that the Beef Checkoff has delivered a return of $11.20 for every dollar invested from 2006 to 2013. As effective and efficient as it's been, the Beef Checkoff program as it currently exists is now at risk. Joining me now in the studio is Craig Uden, a Nebraska cattle feeder and cow-calf operator who served in a number of leadership posts across the industry. Craig, thanks for coming to the show.
Thank you, Kevin.
Well, as we get started talking about this very, very important topic, give folks a little background about you and the leadership roles you've fulfilled.
Well, it all started when I was a beef council member for Nebraska Beef Council. And as I moved through that process, I got interested in the operating committee, so I went through the nomination process and got on the operating committee, which spends the checkoff dollar through the federation side. And over the time being, then I was moved along and I became the chairman of the federation, and now after those times are over, I'm chairman of the policy committee for NCBA.
Very good. Well, let's talk about the checkoff. I know that there's been a working group that has been working on an enhancement of the checkoff for some time. Give us a little background on this group and tell us kind of where they stand today.
Well, 3 years ago, the secretary put together a group of grassroots organizations that are involved in the checkoff. And in order to get enhancement or to get the extra dollar that people were looking for, these groups came together to try to work their differences out and move the industry forward. And we did have a lot of success in some certain areas. We do have a new committee structure between the Federation and the CBB, and consequently we also expanded authority to contracting groups that were not in place when the 85 Act was put in place. So more contractors and more efficient and more productive committee structure is what we've done. As we move forward and continue to work on this, after 3 years it was looked upon, should we continue forward? And the NCBA, we voted to continue forward with this work because it's grassroots, and that's where the checkoff started, and that's where we think it continues. But one group, National Farmers Union, decided to pull out. And thus we're looking at where we're at today.
Now, I understand from a press release that I've read that Secretary Vilsack has suggested that he was going to bring forth a new order under the 1996 Generic Act. Tell us what NCBA's stance is on that position.
Well, we're against that concept because government versus grassroots, we're for the grassroots concept, which means strengthening our state beef councils and what role that they play in this. Accountability to the producers, minimizing government bureaucracy and things of that sort. We think it's a very efficient and effective way to build beef demand without increasing a lot of extra bureaucracies.
Now, I understand that NCBA is not alone in that position. In fact, a number of other stakeholders, including the Federation of State Beef Councils, has some concern about bringing forth an enhancement under the 1996 Act as opposed to keeping it with the original 85 Act. Can you give us some perspective there?
Sure I can, Kevin. The 85 Act, really and truthfully, the Federation, which is the state beef councils, was put together in 1963, long before the 85. And when we did get the vote to enact the Beef Checkoff in 85, the reason we got it was the efforts that it was going to be controlled by producers. And consequently, the state beef councils play a huge role in that. They collect the dollar, they get to spend 50 cents of the dollar, and they get to send people on through the Federation in order to look at the national programs and how that total dollar is spent for beef enhancement. And they don't know what role they'd play under a government-instituted checkoff because they're really not identified there. And also they wonder if there'd be more administration costs and who's going to serve on these boards as well as the same position we have. Who would serve on these boards?
Clearly, this is a critical issue for the beef industry, and we're going to talk more about it. In fact, we'll be right back with Craig Uden just after this. Stay with us.